Creative Social. And you might have seen that, like, I was floored by this. I can't believe that Pinterest is requiring idea pins. And you might have seen this floating around the Facebook groups. And it came out of a newsletter. And so I want to tell you guys about this because you might be freaking out a little bit about, like, what? I have to create idea pins? I don't want you to get this wrong. And I also want to help demystify idea pins for you to help you have success with them. So let's go over what it is that is going on that we saw. So Pinterest is having this new focus on creators. And with that, they have a creator newsletter. In fact, I am a Pinterest creator. Most of us that are creating content are Pinterest creators. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am, because I'm here in my workout clothes with my little pigtails. And you're probably like, who is this lady? It's summer. And so I'm out walking on the beach, and I came into my office, and this is the time for our live stream on Thursdays. So I wanted to go ahead and do it, even though I'm not like in my regular work clothes, right? This is the beauty of working online, so we can work wherever we want, right? Okay, so I am Jennifer Priest, the founder here at Smart Creative Social and the creator of Smart Pin Pro, a membership program to help you create a Pinterest traffic strategy. Not just copy steps that work for me, but create a strategy for your unique business that you can evolve and change as things in your business change and as Pinterest changes, because we know that both of those things are always changing, right? Hopefully your business is growing, you're making more money, you're doing new things, you're bringing new products, and you are going to have to change your goals. And so we want to create a framework. We want to use a framework to go ahead and create that strategy for you. So that's what we teach in the program. That's what I teach in the program. I developed a framework that helps you create a strategy that evolves as Pinterest changes and your business changes. And this is the same thing that I've used for clients. I use it for myself. I use it for over 350 people who've gone through our program. Like, it works. So enough about me. Let's talk about idea pins. So here's what's going on. Pinterest has this creator community newsletter. So if you join their creator community, and there's links to do that, you can probably just Google how to become a Pinterest creator and things will come up. If you're inside of our program, Smart Pin Pro, we have some modules inside of what we call our knowledge vault. This is where we have all our tutorials. We have some modules in there under the Pinterest section where you can go through and get all set up as a creator, and we have all the walkthrough there. If you're not in our program, you can probably just Google it and try to find the information. I'm sure it'll come up. All right, so they have a creator community newsletter that they're sending out now. And I was going through the most recent one, just skimming. This is what we call a signal in our program. We have a 5-part framework for creating your Pinterest strategy. And the first one, it's the acronym SMART, right? Because everything's called SMART in my business. And the first one is signals, right? That starts with an S, that's signals. And so this community newsletter is a communication from Pinterest directly, right? It's not from somebody else or an expert or something. It's from Pinterest directly. And so this is something we want to pay attention to regularly and skim. So I put aside, a few minutes a day to go through my Pinterest signals just to kind of see, okay, what's popping up. And so this came into my inbox. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and skim it. So I'm skimming. And I see this note from Pinterest, and it says, friendly reminder, you need to create at least one idea pin per month to be a part of the creator community program. Okay, so you can be on Pinterest, you can have an account, you can have a business account and never create an idea pin. But if you want to be part of the creator community program, where you have access to things like forums and trainings and all these other things that they have, right? The content claiming portal, all that stuff that's part of the creator program, you've got to create at least one idea pin a month. And I was like, wait, what? Because I don't create one idea pin a month. I dabble with them, right? I have fun with them, but it's not a huge part of my strategy because my goals are traffic. And I posted this inside of our member community yesterday, and I asked them, hey, you guys, like, who else saw this, right? Because I thought it's probably pretty easy to miss. I mean, they called it out. It was on its own paragraph inside the email, but I was like, I bet some people have missed this. And if you're like, wait, my goal is traffic, I'm not making a ton of idea pins, and I'm going to get into like why idea pins don't really give you traffic, then I figured there's more people in our program like that, right? So I was like, what if we did a challenge on how to create more idea pins? And I'm going to tell you more about that at the end of this video, because we're doing Insider membership, but also there's a chance for you to be able to do it as well. So let's talk about idea pins. We want to talk about what do you need to know about idea pins, right? So you can take action. What are the mistakes people are making with idea pins, and how can you avoid them? Especially if you've been in the Facebook groups or in the community forums on Pinterest, you've probably seen a lot of people being upset about idea pins, or they used to be called story pins, and I'll get into that. What are the results that you can expect from idea pins, right? If we have our goals for our business, like there's got to be some measurable results from doing this thing. If we're going to take resources from over here and direct some of them over to making idea pins, we've got to be able to measure that. What kind of content should you be making with idea pins, right? It's not for everything. And it's not just slapping your videos up there. That's, again, we'll get into that in the mistakes. And then how to get help in making your idea pins. So we're going to talk about that. And I'd love to know if you guys have made any idea pins. I guess I have a spelling error here. I said, have you made any ideas? Of course you have. Have you made any idea pins? I would love if you share those below. Just drop a link in the comments. I would love to go check out your idea pins. If they are something that I think my audience would like, I would click them and save them to my account. And you guys, if you're looking for ideas, like, hello, if everybody drops their idea pin links, we're going to have like a bunch of ideas of idea pins that we can possibly do on our account, as well as ones that we can share. If we think our audience is going to be into it, let's go ahead and save some of them that are dropped in the comments here. All right, so let's get into what are idea pins. So idea pins used to be story pins, and they were called story pins for a couple of years. Pinterest had this in beta, and it was either May or June of 2021, Pinterest said, hey, we're taking these out of beta and we're going to change the name from story pins to idea pins. Why? Because story pins gave the wrong idea, right? It made people think, oh, this is like a story, like on Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube has story pins. So it made people think, oh, I've got to talk on it, like the way that we would use Instagram stories. And Pinterest is like, no, that's not what we wanted. So the name says ideas. Ideas are what they want. That's what Pinterest wants us to do. And so how do they want us to present that idea? So I did a lot of thinking about this. I watched a lot of guidance. Pinterest has put a lot of information out about story pins and idea pins. So if you're looking for information, you may need to do some Google searches for story pins, because it's really still new that it's called idea pins. But either way, you're going to find a lot of information. There's YouTube videos about it from Pinterest. Pinterest has a ton of information on their site about it. They've done this creator conferences and stuff like that online, doing a lot of talking about story pins / idea pins. And so I studied a lot of that, and what it seems does the best for idea pins are things that are easy to consume and easy to take action on. And if we think about what is Pinterest's mission, right? They want to help people discover new ideas. They want to help people take action, help people live amazing lives, right? Well, that's what needs to be in your idea pin. So go back and think to the intent. And I love the way that they've changed the name to idea pins, because I think it really communicates and conveys better what the intention is, way more than story pins, because stories on other platforms expire. Idea pins don't. They live forever on the platform, right? There's just so many areas where these are not really story pins. And so, or they're not really a story. They are an idea, and it needs to be a fully self-contained idea in itself. Why? Because there's no way to link them anywhere. So Pinterest doesn't want a link in them. They are not built to have a link. So it needs to be a fully contained idea they can take action on fully within the idea pin. So they need to have all the information. They need to be able to consume all the information within the idea pin and take action from the information you've given them in the idea pin. Okay, so it needs to be fully self-contained. So this is where I'm going to get into some of the mistakes that people have made with idea pins, because one, you might be thinking, I just want traffic. Like, why would I use an idea pin if it doesn't have a link in it? And so let me go over some of these mistakes, and then we're going to talk about what are idea pins really good for, because they do have a really good use for your account. And if Pinterest is saying, hey, we'd like you to be creating at least one of them a month, well, then let's make sure that you're going to get the max benefit out of it, that we're not just pumping out one idea pin a month just to feed the Pinterest machine. That's not going to help you. Let's do this really strategically to serve your audience, build your audience, and all of those other benefits. So before we get into that, let's talk about what are the mistakes that people are making with idea pins and or, story pins before this. Number one, trying to link. Okay, they're using them as a teaser content. And they're like, oh, here's my, 45-step lasagna recipe. And they show 3 steps in the idea pin. And then at the end, they try to get people to go over to their site. Well, there's nowhere to put a link. So people try to work around, which is within the idea pin, there is a place that you can put supplies or ingredients. And so people were like, if I just paste the link there and nothing else, Pinterest made it really easy to copy that text, because Pinterest Pinterest intent behind that was, oh, we want people to take action. So if they can copy the supply list really easy from the idea pin, they could maybe paste it in their notes and then go to the store, buy the stuff they need or gather the supplies they need and take action, right? So it was to enable them to take action. So, bloggers and marketers were always like looking for, ways to get around things. And one of the things that I saw going around the groups was, oh, well, instead of putting your supplies there, put the link to your blog post there. So now they've got the 3 steps for the lasagna. And now you tell them to, copy this link and go get the other 45 steps over on my blog. And that was not a good experience for users. And so we were seeing a lot of people getting negative comments on their story pins, or now idea pins. Pinners were like, I can't find the link. I got to type it in. I don't know where to go to get the information. This really sucks. And we don't want people having that experience. What that signals to us, and I think a lot of people misinterpreted this. They were like, yeah, idea pins are a bad user experience. It's like, no, the way that you were using it, right? Not you, but the way that it was being used was creating a negative user experience. Pinterest wants a good user experience. So if it's creating a negative user experience, they're not necessarily going to get rid of the feature. They're going to try to refine their messaging, which they did, I think, in trying to communicate this is an idea, a self-contained idea on Pinterest instead of being a story. So when we're getting that kind of feedback, we have to say, okay, maybe I'm not using this to the intent of what it was created for, right? Because none of us have a result that we're like, you know what? I got my 14 negative comments today. That's what I wanted, right? We don't want that, really. You don't want to put all this time into making an idea pin just to get negative comments. So let's put time into it to get the results that we want. So Pinterest came out inside of their community forums, and they specifically said, there's an FAQ section in there on idea pins. You can go find it in the Pinterest community forums. And they said, look, we don't want you trying to put a link in there. Don't do that. And, when they give us that kind of guidance, we don't know if they're backing that up with something like they're going to be looking to see if there's a link in there and then they're going to diminish reach of those pins. We don't know that. But if they told us not to do it, let's just not do it. So then if we can't have a link in there and we can't tell them, oh, go to the link, oh, go type this in. We shouldn't put it anywhere. What else can we do? So one of the things that we did is we were like, well, everybody wants traffic, right? That's our goal. So we said, okay, you can put a bit.ly link in the graphic, right? Because we want to brand the graphic. So if somebody screenshots it, they can come back and find us later. Pinterest hasn't totally said hey, we don't want you to have a link on the graphic. But so far our tests have shown that it doesn't really do very much. Nobody's really typing in your bit.ly link to go over to this post, because again, what's the intent behind idea pins? Self-contained idea. So you don't really want to use a bit.ly link. You can, right? In case they screenshot it, but is it going to give you a huge ROI? No, we can't really expect traffic from idea pins because they are not built for traffic. And the other mistake that I see people making is putting way too much work in. And we've seen this within our program. People are like, okay, I'm going to do idea pins. They're going to go whole hog. And then they come to a Q&A call or they post in the community and they're like, I just spent, 2 hours on this idea pin and 4 people saw it. And we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, Pinterest has an editor. You can do these on your phone, right? From the Pinterest app, you can create idea pins, or you can do it within Pinterest desktop and make idea pins. And they've got text overlay tools and stickers and all these fun things. Ghost mode is a new thing they came out with. And that stuff's really great, but it can lead you down the rabbit hole of spending a ton of time creating this content. And again, remember, our ROI already is going to be different. It's not going to be as much, right? Because where we make the money is getting people to our site, right? So if you're a blogger, you're making the money from the ad views on your site. If you're selling products, you're making money from the people getting over to your site, getting into your funnel, going and making purchases, right? The money making part doesn't happen on Pinterest. So there's a little bit of a different value to us for the engagement, right? The followers, the things that we could get from an idea pin. It's a little bit of a different value. So we're not going to invest as much time into making those, right? There are some things that we can do to utilize the tools that are on Pinterest, but there are some other things we can do with repurposing content, et cetera, to get more bang for our buck. We don't want to be spending hours creating content that's only going to give us like engagement and followers and not going to give us the sale, right? It's a little bit farther of a step to get the sale. And so we don't want to put too much work in. And then the fourth mistake that people make is they try to force pinners to go to the site, right? And so that's the bad user experience. And so if you can really see this when you look at those comments, like I was saying, especially with the food bloggers, they were doing this a lot because they want people to come over to their website for the recipe. What is the benefit to them in posting the whole recipe on the idea pin? They only make money from getting people to their site, either through ads, affiliate links, or sponsors. Typically, some of them have products, right? So they can make money other ways, but typically they only make money when someone comes to their site. So it's not in their best interest to put the full recipe on the idea pin because there's no reason for people to then come to their site. And so if you're trying to create content where it either forces the pinner to come to your site to take action, or the pinner feels like they need more information before they can take action, that's going to be a bad user experience. So don't try to force pinners to go to your site with idea pins. So what are idea pins good for? Number one, engagement. They are pushed to the top of the feed. And so they allow people to interact with your account, right? Pinterest is pushing them up. They're very engaging. People can click through. So already right now there's some interaction happening. They can give reactions. They can give comments. And that engagement helps your overall account perform. Now, we don't have any data from Pinterest that says like, oh, if you use idea pins, you get 30% better performance. We don't have anything like that. But we have seen anecdotally that those that are using idea pins report better follower growth and engagement. And so that is something that you can look at, and that's something that we can measure, right? We can measure engagement, we can measure follower growth. Follower growth, that happens with idea pins. There's a panel that shows up at the end of your idea pins that is a call to action from Pinterest that says to follow you for you having created the idea pin. So if you created that pin, everyone who goes and clicks all the way through the panels has an opportunity to follow you, right? And so that's a really great way to get more followers. More followers means more people who will potentially see your next pins, including those static and video pins, which can drive traffic. Exposure and brand awareness, because Pinterest is pushing this stuff to the top of the feed. They're pushing idea pins. You can exploit that to help you get your products, your information, your ideas in front of more people for $0, right? We don't have to pay for that. So that's another reason to use idea pins. Another thing that you can expect from idea pins, right? It may not give us the traffic directly, but it can push your brand in front of a lot more people. And then, repurpose your idea pins to other platforms. If you're going to use the tools to make them, if you're going to spend the time to make them, get more bang for your buck. And this is something that we share how to do inside of our trainings, specifically in our Knowledge Vault inside of a Smart Pin Pro program, but also inside of our pin design and template vault. We have templates just for story pins or idea pins. We have templates just for those to help you make those easier, but then you can take that and use it on other platforms like your Instagram account. String them together and make a video. Like, there's so many ideas that we have in there. I can't even tell you all of them right here in this context because there's like a whole training on it. And then content you don't have on your site. This is a super bonus tip. I hope you guys are taking notes. We have a bunch of people in our program who have products. They have shops and they're like wanting to promote that on Pinterest. And we know that the best performing Pinterest on content is how to, right? There's also like, lifestyle stuff, aspirational, but as far as what's going to get clicks is how to. And what do you do if you don't have a blog? Well, guess what? Idea Pins is a great place for you to put how-to content that helps move your customer along in the journey from awareness to purchase, especially if you don't have a blog, right? Because you can use your products in the how-to. And so this is super awesome. And if you're a food blogger, think of some how-to content like maybe a technique if you're a food blogger. So what could be a technique that you could show? You could show something like how to properly separate an egg, right? So I'm like, I just made a chaffle recipe and I needed to use egg yolk and not the white. And so I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? How do I separate an egg? I know how to do that, but like if I was a pinner, I might not know how to do that, right? So that's the kind of content you could put. Do I need a recipe for that? No, I can find out how to do that with a story pin or an idea pin on Pinterest. So think about that. Like, someone can take all the action within that idea pin right on Pinterest without having to go to your site. But now it's going to attract them to you, right? Because they're like, oh my gosh, she just showed me how to separate an egg. I bet she has recipes on her site about how to do that. So I'm going to follow her, right? All right, so let's talk about some ways to make idea pins faster. Now that you kind of know what you can expect from idea pins, right? Quick recap on that is exposure and brand awareness, increased engagement on your account to help it perform better, more followers because of that call to action that's automatically put at the end of every idea pin by Pinterest. Did I say follower growth? Yeah, I did. Repurposing your content from your idea pins onto other platforms. It gives you more content you can put out there. And then a place to store content you don't have on your site, especially if you don't have a blog, or a place for you to put that how-to content that doesn't really have a space on your site, where you can keep it all contained as a single idea. And then how to make idea pins faster. So let's talk about that. Number one, use templates. Like I said, we have a pin design and template vault inside of our membership program, Smart Pin Pro, but if you don't have access to that, use templates, right? This will just make it a lot easier for you to create the idea pins. Second, remember that less is more. We want to get to the followers, right? So if you've got 18 panels in your story pin, I think you can have up to 20. It's going to be a while before they get to that follow panel, right? We don't want to have too many steps. We don't want to have it be way too complicated. And when you're making them long and complicated, you're spending a lot of time creating those things. So think what's easy for them to take action, what's easy for them to consume. That's going to be less is more. And number three is get support. Get support, whether that's joining a membership or doing a challenge with your friends. In fact, we have a challenge that we are running inside of our program, Smart Pin Pro. It is free to all of our members. So if you are in Smart Pin Pro, this challenge is free to you. But anybody who's not a member can join in and join along. Just get on our wait list for our program. I've got the link down in the description of this video, and we will be announcing it to you via our email first. So there'll be an opportunity for you to join the challenge, whether you're in Smart Pin Pro or not. But if you're in our membership program, you will get the challenge absolutely for free, included in your membership as a bonus. So those are my tips for you for idea pins. Remember, if Pinterest is encouraging us to create at least one idea per month to be part of that creator community program, then we should put that on as part of our content strategy for Pinterest, but don't stress out about it. Okay. So make sure you're not making these mistakes. Make sure you're using idea pins for the intent behind them. Make sure you're really clear on what your expectations can be for idea pins, what kinds of results you can expect to get so that you can measure those things, and then use our 3 tips for how to create idea pins faster. So again, if you have any idea pins, I would love to see them. Drop them down in the comments. Let's check out each other's idea pins, save them if they fit our audience, and get some ideas for each other. And if you want some more support on how to create idea pins, join our waitlist so that you'll be the first to be notified about our idea pin challenge. Thanks for being here.